Thanks, Adam. Get started in a few minutes here. If anybody wants me to look at anything, just let me know. We may discover unforetold riches, wealth beyond imaginable dreams, and it'll be a secret because there's only a few people here. What's up, Sergio? Bjorn, have you ever played? There's this pinball game called Peggle. It's kind of old, but the main character, the main I don't know, the character that like guides you through the early parts of the game is called Bjorn, and it's a unicorn. Bjorn the unicorn. It's just funny. Reminded me of that. So Matt, MDGL weekly. We'll take a look. Shoddy. Ash. All right. It seems as though we're just trading. Everything's just beta to UJ. If UJ is happy, legacy markets are happy. Good news is good news again. Get rid of this. UJ has bounced quite a bit. Just like on the way down, that scare UJ had pulled the rest of the market with it, pulled the world's markets with it. Carry trade unwinding. Carry trade not at risk of unwinding further, at least here. Now that could change on a dime if the BOJ comes out and says they're raising again. They signaled that they weren't. Here's the issue for the BOJ in Japan. The politicians are not popular there because, as you'd imagine, getting your savings devalued makes you question who's in power. So part of the reason for the hike was to help fix that and correct that, but Japan's just a mess. So I guess the potential worry for the world outside of Japan is if new people get placed into these power positions, then they may make new decisions, right? What's best for Japan is whatever Japan needs to do. I think they should just do what they need to do and say, whatever, not my problem. But the issue here is it pulled down their own market as well, obviously, the Nikkei. What is the ticker? NI225. And the only reason I'm talking about this today is because of the bounce, right? Nikkei was down, whatever it was, 20% or something. Bounced half of that. Tech bounced quite a bit, more than half of that. Whereas crypto hasn't quite recovered to that degree. At least Bitcoin hasn't. I don't think the issue with Bitcoin isn't necessarily UJ here. It's all the other stuff. The Gox overhang, the BitGo, the Gox connection stuff, the US government selling or not selling, market's trying to price that in. There really hasn't been a trade or a setup for me here. It's just boring. It's just boring chop. Boring chop. And you can go down all the time frames and you can try to look for something, look for anything. Is this a diamond? Maybe. Is there anything on any of these time frames? I don't see anything personally. It's just mindless turtle soup chop. And that's okay. We don't need to always be going up. But, there's just not much to say. Not much to say or do here. If you liked Bitcoin at 70, you're going to love it at 58, right? If you like it at 58, you're going to love it if it goes lower. And that hasn't really changed. But for alts, that means they probably aren't happy as well, as you can see. Maybe you can't see. I'll move this down. Alt's not so happy, obviously, if Bitcoin's not happy. It's like happy wife, happy life, happy Bitcoin, happy alts, that sort of thing. Take a look at Aptos, sure. So at the very least, if you have some bullish view on an alt, you have to have a viewpoint on BTC because it's not going to magically go in the opposite direction. Most likely it's going to be an amplification of Bitcoin's direction, aka beta to BTC. And you can see it on the list here. BTC's down 1%, alt's down 3, 4, 5%. So that's the stream, everybody. Thanks for coming. Equities Omega, yeah. We are in a seasonally not so great period, and legacy markets are just ripping off of any economic print, up or down. They're just ripping. Previously, it was with the Som Rule UJ stuff. It was, oh my God, it's a recession, and now it's actually, you know what? We're probably fine. This could be a soft landing. This isn't as bad as it looks. I mean, S&P is already back to 5,500. I said this on Sunday, but there's still like, yes, this has bounced a lot, but the trend people, the trend traders are getting ripped to shreds because, which is fine. Like the trend traders did really well here and they did really well here. So they're not going to do well all the time, but I'm saying this, talking about myself. Trend traders are likely still avoiding this for now. But on lower time frames, the S&P, I mean, you can probably instantly see it. There's a potential for this, right? Inverted head and shoulders, whatever. That's something to watch for. I think the issue is there's just such a huge cushion of people waiting in cash still. And so any dip is bought up quickly and just continuously bought up because there's so much cash. There's just so much cash. I don't think Javi tunes in to the live streams. There's just so much cash. And inflation's still an issue. Dollar devaluation, definitely an issue. What's up, Golshi? Yeah, we'll take a look at Caspa. So this is the problem with just being bearish anything. Equities is good luck. Good luck maintaining that viewpoint. It's funny, the bears have to go, I just listen to these. It's the big short people, literally these people. They have to go to these obscure companies and like find weaknesses in the business. That's fine, but that's just like such hard work. If you're trying to min-max your life, just go along the index. You're fine. You'll survive. Okay? Like, yeah, stuff's overvalued, stuff's crazy, blah 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 multiple. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I mean, look at it. It literally doesn't matter. Q's also back to that cloud level. So Legacy having a much better time up here relative to BTC. But trend traders not exactly happy with the price action. Dip buyers happy. People sitting in cash for the dip happy. Even IWM is up 3% today. But it's just very tough to, like, yeah, you can say buy the dip, okay, great. But it's very tough for anybody to take a viewpoint here with high conviction, I think, on a lot of stuff. Because it's so volatile. Everything. Can you include gold in the BTC bucket for the 131313? Yeah, we'll take a look at gold. Someone else asked about gold. The issue with gold is the issue with a lot of this risk off stuff. It doesn't move quickly. If it's moving quickly, there's usually a crisis, and that usually ends quickly. And if gold moves quickly, then people rebalance, just as they have thus far up here. So I still like the chart. I still think it looks fine, but it's gold. If you want the fastest horse, it's not going to be gold. If you want the most reliable horse that isn't going to break down, sure, gold's an option. But just look at like Q's relative to gold. If you can stomach the long-term volatility, I don't know why you would be focused on gold. Not you personally, but just in general. I asked myself the same thing about gold versus BTC or any of these others. Look, it hasn't done super well against gold. Q's tech hasn't done super well against gold, but that's why we, for the most of us in this chat, aren't focused on the Qs. We're focused on what we think is the fastest horse, whatever that may be for you. For me, it's BTC. So if you go out 5 years, go out whatever, do whatever you want. Like, it's no contest. It's no contest. So I think trading in and out of some of this stuff is fine. It makes sense. We can use leverage ETFs. We can find ways to amplify the return. But if we're talking about a portfolio over time, there's no question. There's no question. It's got to be BTC. This could also be cup and handle. It could be falling wedge, whatever. I think on the daily, if we invert this, where's the invert? There it is. So PAXG, I guess, looks different, but PAXG is the gold stablecoin. This to me looks very bullish PAXG. So I don't know. It's a question of what is your total risk? What is your risk appetite? What is your time horizon? I don't think there's a convincing argument for gold at this point in time, but if you are looking at modern portfolio theory and you're talking about drawdown and volatility and Sharpe ratio and that sort of stuff, yeah, maybe you're a little more concerned and you want gold in your portfolio. I just don't see it. I don't see it as a necessary inclusion, personally. Why is Bitcoin not performing? Yeah, Tony, we're kind of talking about that. If you look at the distribution coin-wise since March, what have we had? We've had billions and billions of coins sold from miners, from Mt. Gox, from Genesis. There was ETH unloading out of the ETH ETFs. So there's just endless amounts of selling up here. Endless. So it is a miracle that we are even holding this ugly range. The good news is if we can maintain this with price where it is and the selling stops, then we can move on. But we are still dealing with stuff that happened in 2013. We're still dealing with stuff from FTX that happened in 2022. It's just nonstop. It's nonstop. And what we don't have is we don't have the catalyst. We don't have the pre-halving catalyst. We don't have the pre-ETF catalyst. What catalysts do we have here? I couldn't tell you a strong catalyst. Yeah, Sailor's buying. Miners, for some reason, are buying. Why would you buy mining stock, any of the miners? Why would you buy any of them when they aren't buying their own stock back? They're buying more BTC. So what does that tell you? just buy BTC. That's what they're doing. They're telling you they're voting with their money to buy more BTC. At least a few of them. So that's why we're not doing so well, Tony, on a relative basis, right? There's just continuous selling, literally continuous selling. Germany, US government, endless. We were the Trump trade for a while, and now Harris is leading 10% in the polls. So there's just a lot of reasons to sell BTC and not too many to buy BTC here. That's it. TA wise, trend wise, some sort of megaphone, some sort of wedge. I hate trading wedges, and a wedge this big is dangerous for two reasons: because it's gone on for 6 months or whatever it is. The second reason is the depth of the wedge, because this is how it works. Okay, like this is the current width of the wedge. We'll make this yellow line. Let's make it a thick wedge. Okay, the depth of any pattern generally gives you some sense of where this could go. So the current expectations are either 33K, unironically, or 100 plus, let's call it. Okay. So the possibilities here are huge. The risk reward on both directions is just huge. It's so wide, it doesn't make sense for most people to do anything until we are convincingly moving in one direction or another. So that's just going to make people even more paralyzed and just check out completely and say, you know what, not for me. This is a much harder thing to gauge, these diagonal levels, than a horizontal level where it's like, okay, the level is 70K. That's easy. We're above 70. I know what to do. But here, it's not only is it chop, endless distribution as far as selling, it's very murky in regards to what anybody should be doing at any given time, even with the TA. So we can zoom out. We can we can go to the weekly again. We can say, oh, there's a cup and handle here. Fine, right? Just trade that. Ignore everything else. Your expectations are the depth of this, which is huge, right? This is the cycle target. The cycle target is simply 333 or whatever, 300. So if you are trading with that mindset, then what do you care about any of this? Even if this goes to 30, here's the other thing. Like, even if this goes down here, like let's say this wedge breaks lower, this isn't a cup and handle, then you have this argument for, you know what, it's just a garden variety inverted head and shoulders, right? Like, there's always an argument for higher, but ultimately we need to break the high first. So as a breakout trade, that's the setup. The setup is we make highs, it's go time. Until then, we're doing a whole lot of this, which is a whole lot of nothing. Whole lot of nothing. If you look at Daily Cloud, it's not bullish yet. So there's no reason, again, to do anything here. Until we're back above the Daily Cloud, I don't foresee myself adding to any positions. Just because there's nothing to do, right? I don't know. There's not a lot of... what's wrong with my hodl hat? There's nothing to do because there's no confidence in direction here for most people. Yeah, the past 6 months, it's like everybody's searching the couch cushions for BTC to sell, and that's why we are still here. We're still here. Every single high, people find a reason to sell rather than a reason to buy. The random dump, Goku, is because we started talking about it. It got scared, man. Have you ever considered a trading strategy using Pine Script? Yeah, you can use bots to trade stuff like the cloud, stuff like chart patterns. Absolutely. I make so few trades that in general it's better to just do it myself because I'm mostly looking at the daily on all these charts. So it's not really that big of a deal. You know, I'm taking one trade every couple weeks. It would take... Man, some people come in here and say the wildest stuff. So people are calling for 100% chance. Yeah, we probably see a 25 cut in September. Yeah, Tony, if we look at the ETFs for BTC over the past 4 weeks, 3 weeks, not much of anything, a little bit of a pop 5 weeks ago, but in general, we're not really seeing sustained momentum here. And the ETH people, I don't know what to tell you, but until you see positive, actual, real deal demand, I don't think you can expect anything. And that may take price to get to 3K, 4K before people start to wake up and say, oh, hey, I can buy this ETH thing. I don't think people are going to reach out to ETH at whatever price it is here and pull this higher, which is the expectation I think a lot of ETH people had. There just is no demand right now for ETH. There's hardly any demand for BTC at the institutional level. So it's going to take time. We are in seasonally a terrible period for BTC. This is known every Q3, every time we get anywhere close to September. Look at my videos for the past 6 years. We talked about wake me up when September ends. Q3 should be painful because it always has been. It's just a very low volume, low liquidity, low eyeballs, low attention period. Pull up Google Trends. We can look at Google Trends for everything. Look at the fees on ETH. Like, there's just nobody here. You know, nobody's using this stuff. Look at NFT prices. Look at the speculative side of things. Very few people are here. So that's Q3. Q3 is not generally good for BTC. August, September also the worst months of the year. So every time anybody asks me about anything, I say October, I say Q4. Survive until then. Sit on your hands until then. Wait for your pitch until likely later on in the year. It's boring, but that's the truth. That's the truth. There's nothing much to do across the board in a big way. Yes, some stuff is going to move. stuff's moving every day. Okay, but to have conviction with size, to take some trade, just doesn't really make sense to me. Not much is happening. We can look at anything anybody wants to look at, but for the most part, even stuff like this, ZEC, let me know if you're zodeling in chat. Even stuff like this, like, yes, the chart looks good objectively in a vacuum, but in the grand scheme of things, if BTC isn't happy or bullish, it's harder for this stuff to do well. It's harder for, what was the other one? SUI. Regardless of who's talking about it, who's pumping this thing, it's harder for this stuff to hold the prices. It's harder for this stuff to push higher. Nobody's here. Nobody's here. You just gotta wait. Exactly. Exactly, Karen. You're better off, if you're a trader, you're better off doing nothing until Q4. At least the last week of September. And we'll look at all these charts, but there's just unfortunately not much going on. Based on the cycle low, this cycle, the previous two cycles, we are exactly in the chop around and find out, do nothing period until like day 680, and we are on day 632. So what is 50 days from today? I'd put it on your calendar. 50 days from today, we are potentially, that should put us into October. We are potentially at all-time highs 50 days from today. The only caution I have with that call is the election. The election's in November. I think how we get to all-time highs 50 days from today would be rates down, stimmies, QE, some equivalent of liquidity increasing pre-election. That would help push prices higher because that would represent a poor decision, at least the liquidity part. That would represent a poor decision. Bitcoin does very well when central planners make poor decisions. So watch for that. But here as we sit, there's just nothing. There's just nothing going on. There's just nothing going on. We can look at HNT. I'm not shilling my bags, Adam. I didn't take the trade. The last time I took a Zcash trade, I'll tell you. I'll tell you exactly where. I gotta find it on the chart. There's evidence. There's evidence of this on Twitter. It was back here. Somewhere back here. Somewhere over here? I don't know. It was like December. Was it December 2020? I don't know. It was back here in some December time period. I think it's sad that this coin is even listed. I think it's sad people still look at stuff like this because it's just, it's like going to the orphanage, you know? It's just a sad story. It's a sad story. Anyway. Do I see more ETFs coming? I think they will try for ETFs on everything. Definitely. Whether or not those get approved, I don't know, but that might not matter to the market. They're trying to get Sol as an ETF. This goes back to Harris versus Trump. If Trump gets elected, the floodgates are going to be open for crypto. Crypto. Heavy air quotes. Crypto. Which means products for everything. One product in every pot for everybody. If Harris gets elected, I can't imagine we see much more than we have now. Unless things change dramatically in the regulatory bodies, let's say. Like if Harris gets elected and makes Gensler the Secretary of Treasury or something, you know, I can't imagine that's going to be bullish for more crypto products. Just reading chat. When does BTCD top? It looks great on trend. You can pull it up. You can pull it up. What a bounce by ARK. It is a beautiful bull trend. Dominance. If we go to like the 2-day or the 3-day, I mean, this is the type of stuff dreams are made of right there. The blue line is USD liquidity. US liquidity rather. This is not ending anytime soon based on the TA, based on the trend metrics. So you just wait for that. And then you go hog wild alts. I don't know what people are, they think they're gonna like, again, everybody wants to catch the Pico bottom. I gotta catch the Pico bottom on 100x leverage. Why? Just wait. Wait for this to be below the 3-day cloud. Just like total 2. It's the same metric. It's not different. Total 2 has not been wrong relative to BTC. It hasn't been wrong since it just hasn't been wrong. Like it doesn't lie to you. It's not gonna magically be bearish instead of bullish. That just isn't how this works. And if you don't like this, look at the individual BTC pairs, right? So it is what it is. It's not bullish. Okay, that should set your compass away from alts, definitely. Joe, BTC of course doesn't give a crap who the president is, but the market prices in who the president is and the policies said president will bring forth. So the market for sure cares. In the end, it doesn't matter. In the near term, if we're talking the October-November window, I think it matters a whole lot. A whole lot. Do you think people, let's say the election expectations are 50-50 as far as who might win. Do you think people are going to take mega big positions into crypto if it's 50-50 on the election? On election night, going into election night? No, they're going to wait for resolution. They're going to wait for the uncertainty to be over. So that's why it matters, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Karen, I agree. Let it all burn. Let crypto burn. I agree. But it's a broad audience here, so we're going to address all people. All right, so that's dominance. Dominance is bullish BTC, flat out. You really have to have a good reason. If you go down the list, like pick anything, any trend metric, there's really nothing going on for most coins. Solana. What about this is bullish? Nothing. Zero. It is range bound. It is neutral. Period. That's it. There's nothing to say. It's been bouncing just as long as BTC has back and forth in the range. So what evidence does anybody have to be long Solana here? There just isn't. There just isn't. Same thing with ETH. ETH looks even worse. There's nothing here. It's just so bad. Everything looks awful. And that's okay because, again, we're in the awful period. BTC and Sol look the strongest to me. ETH still looks like a dumpster fire. Still. I would love to see validators come out of the validator queue. I would love to see people losing their religion. And I say this not because I want the network to fail, because I want a signal on sentiment. This is the validator queue. I want to see this exit queue spike like a lot. Okay, I want to see it spike. That's when you know something's wrong. I don't think that'll ever happen. Let's be clear here. Active validators keep going up. Supply staked keeps going up. Staking APR flat down. So there's a lot of people still staking, adding to their stake. Just stake and get rich, bro. Just stake and get rich. So we're not seeing any issues in the validator queue for ETH. But there's nothing here. There's nothing here. If you go to ultrasound money for ETH, what would I want to see? I would want to see burns like no tomorrow. We aren't seeing that. We're seeing the opposite of that. We're seeing, if we go back to the, what is it? Monthly? ETH supply is not burning. It's sub BTC, but not by much. Not by much over the past month. So it's been minimal. ETH BTC is a dumpster fire. It's just, what are you going to do? There's nothing here that says, oh, hey, this looks like a good idea. I'm trying to think how I can pull this up. This is total 2 over BTC, essentially. Where's the argument? Please, I'd love to hear anybody give me an argument for ETH over BTC. Looking at these charts, there just isn't one. There just isn't one. There will be a time in the future, probably late in the cycle, when ETH starts to outperform after years of underperforming. That time is not today, but that time will probably come. That time will probably come. Yeah, I can do algo. If you guys want me to look at anything, guys and gals, let me know. But man, if you don't like the cloud, just use the 1050 cross. Use the 5200 cross. Use any moving average cross. It's going to tell you the same thing. These charts are just not bullish. ETH, not bullish. What would I want to see? I would want to see a bull div on RSI, which you can't see because my face is in the way. Definitely not a bull div on RSI. That's a lower low in price, higher low in RSI. We did have that going into Q4 last year. Lower lows, price, higher lows, RSI. That took the entire quarter to resolve. We're not seeing that yet. We're not seeing a falling wedge. We're not seeing a double bottom, triple bottom, nothing. There's just nothing here. So we're just guessing. Everyone's just guessing. This could make an Adam and Eve, a double bottom, right? It's just too early. It's too early to make that call. Way too early. Nothing here. Absolutely nothing here. So you wait. You either wait for some level that you like, or you just wait because there's nothing to do. There's flat out nothing to do. I don't know why Ripple on Kraken, is it because it's like the only place to trade Ripple? I don't know why the volume is so high on Kraken. I don't know who's actually trading this. And now I just broke the chart. 3 weeks apparently is not happy with. Back in the day, Ripple used to offload everything on Bitstamp, and you know that by volume. If you looked at the volume, they may have shifted gears to Kraken. So I think what was happening, Jed McCaleb had this massive settlement with Ripple. He was previously the founder or the head dev or something back in the day. Huge settlement. He was offloading on Bitstamp. It looks like the Bitstamp volume has come way down. So I'm wondering if they've shifted to Kraken, and that's why it's showing up in the volume like it is. They had also previously been on Polo playing around. As you can see there on the volume on Polo is dead. on Ripple. So if I had to guess, they are trading Ripple on Kraken. They being Ripple, the company. Anyway, so that's Ripple. Also in a wedge of its own. There's zero technical evidence to do anything here. Nothing. Ranging. Meme coins also all look horrific to me. They don't look bad enough to buy yet. And we can look at the meme coin panel I have set up here. Where is it? I wish I had good news on anything. I just don't see anything. That looks good. Doge getting crushed. SHIB making new lows, at least on closing lows. Pepe just continuous down. I don't think there's anything here. No. Whiff. Continuous down. I don't even know where you'd buy this, any of this stuff, other than the October breakout from last year or the February breakout. There's nothing here. There's no setups at all. Just non-stop lows. Definitely wouldn't want to buy and hold this stuff. It doesn't look strong, and it looks like there are more sellers than buyers. It's that simple, unfortunately. So Doge, I would love to see a low below 8 cents into September. Like if you think alts look bad now, just wait until the next 2 or 3 streams. I mean, then we will get to the point where I will probably say something to the effect of, now this looks bad enough to buy. But for me, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. That's all meme coins. I don't think any of them look good. All of DeFi also, to me, just kind of a nothing burger. I don't like living in the chop. So Aave looks better than most other alts, but it is still living in the chop. Maker's another one to watch. Historically, Maker had a inverse correlation with everything. I don't know why, but it tended to move first or inverse to a lot of stuff. Doesn't look like that's the case currently. That's always one to look for. Someone was talking about Curve the other day. This thing is just, I don't think that's an all-time low. It's an all-time low for Kraken, but man, just awful, right? Just so bad. At the very least, let us get above this diagonal. Yeah, Pradeep. Like in my head, the streams have for the past couple weeks have been, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. But going forward, like it's not going to get better anytime soon. So I'm hopeful that we'll have something to talk about going into October. But there's nothing right now, you know? This looks like a bear market. How can I be confident? Because again, going back to seasonality, this is what happens every August, every September, for the most part. On average, despite the math here, September is usually the worst month. So if you think August is bad, just wait until September, because it's probably not going to get any better. Based on red-green months, historically, September is the worst month for negative months for BTC. ETH, the same. And just quickly eyeballing this, July onward is not a good period for ETH. ETH does best in the first half of the year. Even June. June's even negative, right? All the more reason to just ignore ETH until later on. This is just ETH against dollars, not ETH against BTC. So ETH against dollars does best in the first 5 months of the year. And then on average, it's mostly negative the rest of the entire year. February has been the best month for ETH, green versus red. October, also a great month. But man, that is not a good look for ETH. For BTC, October, February, also very good months. That's why I'm bullish on October. Just based on seasonality. There's liquidity, there's rates. Rates should come down slightly or start to come down in September. So that's why I'm bullish going into Q4. Put the crack back in Kraken. Yeah. Exactly, Karen. Cue the Green Day. I have some stables. What are the best DeFi platforms? I don't know. That's not a question for me. Probably Compound? I don't know. All right. Anything else on this list? I don't think so. It's funny to see like this graveyard of coins. That used to be the flavor of the month, the hot new thing. And then over time, they just get replaced with newer, hotter things. they just don't last. Somebody asked about Aptos. What do I want to see? I want to see higher highs. I do not see higher highs. I like alerts at 713. Some of this stuff is trying to do something eventually, right? Like this may give you some sort of, can you see that? Probably not. May give you some sort of symmetrical series of higher lows into October. Like that, if I'm trying to rub my crystal ball for the next 3 streams, like that's what I want to see. I just want to see stuff go flat and stop making lower lows. So this isn't saying like, hey, I love this trade here. I love this trade potentially at the end of September, right? Like, let's talk about it then. There's just nothing to do here now. This is clearly still bearish. Algo, someone was asking about. Algo. What is this large potential pattern I have drawn out here? Yes. So it had this. It had a really good case for this head and shoulders thing. It was in the cloud, bullish DK cross. It just died. It just died. And that's kind of the moral of everything right now. You can have the TA on your side and take the trade, but ultimately you need more than that to push stuff like this higher. Just because, like, look, how far down is it even on the volume table here? This is just cracking. I can't even find it. 100 and, what is it, 124? Should be down here. There it is. So it's like towards the bottom as far as traded volume as a sentiment gauge. Like, it's right here with EOS. It's right there with EOS as far as volume. So there aren't a lot of eyeballs looking at algo, you know? Friday, October 4th, says Karen. Glad it's not October 13th. Yes, Nano Hero Ave is flat. It's flat. Like I said, it looks better than most things. When I take a highly convicted trade here, is this really what you want to take a trade on? Look at this chop. It's been relentless. Relentless. Also, by the way, back to this Harris-Trump idea. Do you think DeFi is going to remain untouched if Harris gets elected? I doubt it. I doubt it. AKA like, geofenced, KYC, institutional investors, they're going to keep retail out of DeFi. It's going to happen eventually, no matter who's elected. But something to think about. Something to at least watch into the election night. Does the riskier casino-y type stuff into the election do well if Trump gets elected versus Harris? What's the market's understanding there? What's going on? Lido, I know a lot of people were bullish on this thing. it looks horrifically awful. Everybody was talking about ETH beta going into the ETFs. Garbage. If anything, it had a head and shoulders, a double-headed head and shoulders here. People will tell you, the purists, the chart pattern purists will tell you cannot have a head and shoulders at the bottom of a trend. I will say, nay, of course you can. You can have any pattern anywhere. Whether or not you take action on that is up to you, whether or not you take that in consideration. But you can't ever see a pattern like this and not think that this should break down on anything. That's why if we go back to Aave, the first thing you see is this attempt at a head and shoulders, and now it's trying to break out of that. So it's trying to break the head and shoulders, sure, but it hasn't done that successfully yet. It hasn't made higher highs. And most importantly, back to this volume idea and sentiment, it's like the top 10 on Kraken right now. So people are clearly looking at it, trading it. It's not number 65,000 on the list here, you know? So that's a good thing. Is there anything else? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Just flipping through the list. Just lots of anger in the alts right now. My TIA has gotten better using linear versus log, especially with a bearish bias. I would just, for me, I like log on everything, but I would use, as an individual, I would use whatever you like. The problem with linear is when you zoom out, it's hard to see, right? Like on this, for example, Aave, it's hard to see what happened or what's happening because price has maxed out at 600, gone down to sub 100. That's the main reason to use log, just to see what's happening price-wise if you zoom out. But yeah, use whatever you want. I looked at Zeke GM. I'll say this for every coin. You need a proper environment for these things to do well. They can always pop off individually for whatever reason, but if the ecosystem for alts is not bullish, it's going to be tougher for this to do well. It's going to have more headwinds than tailwinds. Does that mean it can't go to 100 in the next 2 months? Of course not. But the probability of this going to 100, while everything else is pushing lower, is slim to none. I can't think of a single reason why this is even where it is today, other than it's just sold off for a very long time and people are finally buying it. I can't think of a good reason other than that. Someone asking about CAD. Any other alts people want me to look at? We'll go here, close that, close that. The TLDR on alts is if BTC isn't happy, alts probably not going to be happy. We talked about this last stream. Relative to TIA, relative to this asymptotic path. This has done well. We can look at ton. Ton is probably similar. But I don't know anything about this network, okay? So you guys can excoriate me in the comments or whatever. It's done well. It's leveled off. Of course, it can go higher. I don't know why it's done well. Not that that matters. But it helps. The technicals for this, what do we got? 3-day looks fine. Bullish. 2-day looks fine. It helps to know a little bit about the fundamentals because that can add to the conviction of the story. I think a lot of people do it backwards where they just assume the most bullish thing possible and then apply that to the chart and say, oh yeah, it's great. It's flat. It's been flat realistically since November 2023. Hasn't really gone anywhere. Okay, we will look at uranium for sure. Yeah, Berg, I mean, there's nothing I can tell you that's going to change your mind. Not that I'm trying to do that or provide financial advice, but it's just math. It's just math. What about this chart gives me confidence that... let's look at the real chart. Let's look at this chart, okay? Because this is the chart that matters for most of the alts, not the USD chart. We're basically just talking past each other because there's nothing I can say that's going to matter. But it's math. I mean, it speaks for itself. There's probably a channel here. You can always get bullish at any point on any chart under any assumptions. But the reality is this has been down only since 2021. At the very least, I'd want to see this thing living above the resistance of this channel. So something up here. Something up there. So I don't really care about fundamentals. Not that that's what you're bringing up, but I just, it's simple. It's down only. I'd want to see a little bit of strength first. It's getting into the historic, I think, all-time low against BTC. Which would be like 500, is that 500 sats? Yeah, I mean, you could buy that, sure. But this chart does not look bullish. ADA. What's the reason I look at the 3-day or the weekly? I just like to zoom out because you'll see stuff like this in the higher time frames that you might not see on the daily. Especially if you're using linear, you won't see it versus log. To me, it gives a better sense of trend. Is there a trend here? What is that trend? What is the rate of change? So like back here, I'll bet you I had videos or have videos back in 2020 talking about this chart. It might sound like I'm always bearish alts, but in reality, that's not the case. If the TA supports it, I will be bullish. We don't have any of this stuff. What do we have here? Maybe a bull div, maybe a falling wedge. I don't know. Maybe, right? You can maybe draw this. We pull up RSI. I guess, maybe. But look at how long it took in 2019 to 2020. It took almost a year down here to break out. My guess is most alts do nothing until after November. That's my guess. The other reason I use the 3-day is because sometimes there's not enough history to look at the weekly. So you have to cheat it a little bit. Yeah, a lot of these coins don't move. Are you here to make money, or are you here because you like Monero? Not to pick on Monero, but you know, that's, if you're here because you like Monero, then that's fine. But that's not why I would buy Monero. I would buy Monero because I would think it was going higher, and that's just not the case. It's done nothing. It's been a stable coin. Okay. Until momentum comes back, what do I care what that does? Jasmine also pulling back quite a bit. What is there to say? Not really much to say. The difficult part here is, like a lot of these coins, previously to break out higher, it took over a year of consolidation, right? So to magically expect, not that this is what you're saying, but to magically expect something like this to bounce without an extended period of consolidation in this environment is tough. The cloud doesn't really support buying here. Everything to me just looks like it's curling lower. Why would I want cake when I couldn't eat it? I agree. Look, if you like LTC as a transactional network, that's fine. You don't need to hold your entire life savings in LTC. Okay, you can use LTC and then swap it to something else that makes money. That would make sense to me. ZRX, what's up, Fed? ZRX is one that talked about geofencing. They talked about permissioned pools for stuff like matcha years ago. Doesn't seem like that ever got off the ground. They talked about giving the network to the community, aka they were done extracting money from everybody and the treasury. I don't know where this stands today, but yeah, chart wise, this thing does not look bullish, right? It's down 80% since March. It's not above the cloud. Like I said in the video, Wednesday, there's going to be a week where everything looks good again because all the alts are correlated. It's like when the fish all spawn at the same time, or the flowers all bloom, or whatever, or not bloom, but pollen all happens at the same time, right? The turtles, they all are born at the same time. That happens with crypto. Everything's correlated because money's looking for risk, and this stuff is generally illiquid on both sides. So you just have to wait for the opportunity. But here, there's nothing to do. I knew a guy that DeFi'd at Cardano since 2021, thought it was a better ETH, randomly disappeared, deleted everything. Yeah, do you want to be right or do you want to make money? That's what you have to be honest with yourself. You can buy and hold all these alts, but it doesn't have to be your entire life savings. It doesn't have to be your entire portfolio, right? It can be a percentage of your portfolio. You can say, like we can pull up these charts. You can just say, that some of these, are trash. You know that, but at the same time, you also know usually there is a period of time where things that were once trash become treasure. And you want to sell to people when these positions 10x, right? But the problem is everybody wants everything today, not tomorrow. They want everything to go their way all the time. They're impatient, and that's not how this works. So these are a group I've talked about, I don't know, since probably November 2023, that looked like they were trying to set up for something. Still don't look awful, but they don't look like they're bullish, right? So yeah, have a bag of junk for alt season. But you can't watch it. This stuff, okay, so I own some Filecoin, some Algo, and some Flow. Okay. We're talking sub $2,000 positions for each of these coins. I'm expecting them to potentially go to zero, and I just don't care. But in the event that they don't, then I'll be happy. But this is not my entire focus in my life's existence, like your Cardano guy, as an example. DCAing for years and years and years. So just know what you own, and that there's a low likelihood that these do well, but potentially it's like playing the lottery, you know? Potentially these you could hit the jackpot. You never know. AXS, Mana, Sand, Flow, some what is that? Metaverse junk, Filecoin, Algorand. Just as examples. Stuff from last cycle that did well, that's basically down. I think AXS, I think that's down probably still 80%, 97%. Maybe you could call it a value trap. Just horrific looking charts, ugly, awful. Is this ever coming back for any reason? I don't know. But throw some money at it. Forget about it. Check it in 2025. That type of thing. Yeah, if you're going to DCA, you have to have some better fundamental reasoning than Cardano boy. Do I think the metaverse is coming back? I doubt it, but in the event that it does, I've got a little bit. That's it. I'm not even a believer that this stuff bounces back. But the charts, like, these are the types of things that look bad enough to buy. They've tried to bottom here for over a year, and we can go through examples on Legacy, Hood. Look at the videos I was talking about Hood in 2023. I talk about some of this stuff so often that I'm sure people get annoyed because it's like, doesn't this guy have any other ideas? But this is the type of thing where you stalk this for months and months and months and months. You watch it, you wait, you're patient. And then when this breaks out, then you just add. Or you're hopefully in some sizable position that you like. Another example is right now, PayPal. I don't have any of it now, but like the company itself, I don't really care. I'm sure junk. I'm sure it's not good. But where's the... Let me go back, sorry. So the point is not to jump into anything quickly, but just watch it. Just watch it. Just watch it, right? TLT, same thing. Pfizer, same thing. Palladium, same thing. That one didn't work out. So it's less about, oh man, I want this to do well today. This has to be 10x today. Versus this piece of junk is down 85% from the highs, at least it was. Has finally started to bottom. We talked about divs, we talked about falling wedge, we talked about inverted head and shoulders. It's finally starting to maybe turn around here. Maybe. Okay. Maybe. TLT, same thing. Finally starting to maybe kind of sort of turn around. This is what I would look for on the alt charts. We are still like in 2022 land of alts We're still picking up momentum to the downside. So that's why I think it's too early to jump into alts here. Mustafa, the reason we get alt season is because the BTC valuation goes very high. And I talked about this too. You can look at, if you pull up crypto cap, BTC, the BTC market cap versus, just add total 2. Is that not going to, okay, just pull up total 2. The reason this works out is because you've got people, when things get bullish, they're always looking for more. Always. There's nobody here when things are boring, things are sideways, right? There's nobody here. Look at the end of 2022 after FTX blew up. Look at around SVB blow up, that sentiment. Nobody was here. Nobody cared about anything, okay? Then you get the ETFs. Then you get having chatter and whatever, right? And then everybody gets all excited. Everybody gets super bulled up. And now we're past that. But in the alt season, that happens because the valuation on the BTC stuff, the multiple happened, right? And then people are rotating into something else on a relative basis that looks undervalued relative to BTC, or you've got a bunch of venture capital funding, pumping tokens, pushing this higher. That's why alt season tends to happen. It's usually a laggard to BTC's strength. So that's why I'm hammering this point that first you need to see BTC holding highs, making highs, being strong, being BTC before alts can do well. So why would Zcash do well here? That goes back to that statement. You know, why would Aave randomly pop here? Why would Ripple do well here? Why would any of this junk do well here when BTC isn't very strong here? Yeah, as people are saying in the chat, it's the 100 people in this room, right, who care about crypto. There's nobody here. It's player versus player. There isn't outside money coming in. It's just money that's moving from one piece of junk to the next piece of junk. And sometimes it's illiquid and sometimes it pushes price higher, you know. But alt season happens because of BTC strength and because of relative performance on alts after BTC strength. So we're not there yet. Alts certainly did well. I mean, look at Solana. There's always one or two that do really, really well. Even outperform BTC, right? But it's hard for that to last once the BTC strength disappears. I gotta be careful with this one. Delovio, he says he's here. What's up, Moonsy? All right, any other alts? If you're like lost and don't know what to do, pull up your favorite trend metrics, pull up your watch list. For me, it's the cloud. And just flip through it, right? You know, we can flip through this list. ETH, no. ETH BTC, no. BNB, not yet. Looking okay. It's not making lower lows. Solana, no. Link, no. AVAX, no. Matic, someone asked about. The daily's been nothing but down. You're always looking for the same thing. Bull div and or falling wedge and or double bottom, triple bottom. You got none of that here. Nothing. LTC, no, we already talked about that. DOT, definitely not. Definitely not. Near, no. Render, no. A lot of this stuff just looks like a garden variety bear flag, honestly. AKA. It's all ready to break down. Ocean, ADA, ETC, INJ. It's all the same chart. Another reason that, you might think your project is special and it's going to go to the moon, but ultimately almost all the alts move together. And if 6,000 of them are bearish, your 6,001 alt is not going to randomly outperform. Most likely, we're talking about probabilities here. GRT, Filecoin, Algo, we talked about these. ENA, all of them looked like junk. All the meme coins, lows, bearish. No. So it is a micro bearish period. I don't know if I'd call it a bear market, but yeah, the coin's not happy. Coins are not happy, for sure. Why isn't Monero on the top of my list? Ripple isn't on my list. Monero's not on my list. Anything that doesn't move, I tend to just avoid. Yeah, Alex, I still have the Discord. I'll throw a link in chat. It's not going to work on the recording, but I'll limit it to 50 uses for the next day. But yeah, that's the link to the Discord. Anyway, so alts, there's really nothing. You're fighting upstream. We just continuously look weak on the BTC side, and that's not going to help alts. And that's to be expected. August, September, not bullish. Alts should not be bullish. August, September. What's up, Joey? All right, legacy. Legacy, let's switch the clouds to legacy cloud. Legacy has popped quite a bit. S&P looks good. Crypto does not. Crypto does not look as strong as this, obviously. Part of the reason for BTC specifically, like we talked about, is the supply, selling, distribution. That's pushing price lower, whether or not the US government is selling or not. The market is clearly pricing that in. Trend-wise, I said the S&P is tough because it's been a whiplash back and forth, right? You're down. This wasn't 10%, but it was close. It was down 9.8%, and now it's back up 8%. So it looks better than it did last week. And this should eventually bode well for crypto. Tech, also huge bounce. There's not really a trade there for me, but yeah, it looks really good. IWM bounce, still no trade there for me. Even the dollar bounced a little bit, but the general direction is down. What I don't like is the potential for this tweezer bottom here. 2 long wicks on the dollar. But the cloud is still bearish on the weekly. It's bearish on the daily. The micro trend at the very least is down for the dollar. If rates are coming down, dollar should come down. It's not more complicated than that. TLT, we talked about. Fixed income, I still think looks great. Why does it look great? Because it's been beaten to a pulp for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Almost 4 years on TLT. Is it a long-term perma-hold? No, it's a trend reversal trade based on rates coming down. That's it. That's it. Ag looks good. Chart looks amazing. This is an aggregate bond ETF. Shy. 1 to 3 year Treasury bond ETF. All these look really good. HYG is junk bond ETF. That also looks good. And typically, if HYG is bullish, BTC is bullish because that represents people seeking risk. If we add BTC to this, let's go halvings. If anything, let me just pull up the, hold on, where is it at? If anything, we're outperforming HYG, or we already did, but in general, we're correlated with a bullish HYG. So from a risk on, risk off perspective, what we want to see is HYG moving higher. Junk bonds moving higher, risk appetite higher. So eventually something's got to give here, because why is risk off bullish, TLT, bonds, fixed income? Why does that look so bullish chart-wise? And why does HYG look so bullish, which is the other end of the spectrum? To me, it's risk on, it's junk bonds. What else we got here? Guess we'll go to commodities and then Mag 7. Gold still looks a hell of a lot better than BTC. That's undeniable. Is gold going to outperform over a long time period? No. Is gold going to have a higher drawdown than BTC? Also no. Higher volatility? Also no. But in periods like this where BTC is clearly weak, gold looks good. Flat out. TA looks good. TA looks really good. So if you're looking for a trade, there's this. There's what's the gold, the leverage gold ETF? It's UDL maybe? ULD? What is it? Why am I blanking? Leveraged gold. There's some sort of leveraged ETF, not as a buy and hold, but as a trade. It's sitting at all-time highs. It looks great, right? It looks great. Silver, less great to me. Head and shoulders-y, I don't know. It doesn't really look like there's much of a trend to speak of here on low time frames. Not really much to do there. Oil, turbo, uber, gross chop. If you think BTC's choppy, pull up the oil chart. I don't know how people trade this for a living, because it would be maddening to me. Nothing going on here. Vaguely bearish, but also range bound. XLE also probably risk off. XLE continues to look really good. It moves the speed of gold, but it looks really good. UGL, thank you, Rhino. UGL. Not that I'm pushing people into leverage gold products, but usually people ask me, is there a better trading vehicle than spot? Like, is there some sort of leveraged component? So this is 2x gold. Chart looks really good. Chart looks really, really good. Inverted head and shoulders at the highs. It's got a cup and handle off of the inverted head and shoulders that took 4 years to play out. The chart looks really, really good. So in the near term, yeah, gold looks better than BTC. What's up, Blake? Gold looks better than BTC for sure. So does a lot of this stuff. TLT, XLE, that's in the very near term. Uranium does not look good. It broke down, when was this? End of June? And just, it's getting crushed. It's getting crushed. The funny thing I find about commodities is the commodities people are all like super bullish their industry, which is understandable, but it's like that's not reality. Like the copper people, a great example. All the copper people are like, "Oh man, there's a scarcity. I don't care about China dumping their copper. We're gonna run out of copper." Like, okay, that may be true, but that's not what the chart is telling me. The chart is telling me the market is maybe more concerned with global recession than Chinese copper demand, supply imbalance, or whatever. The AI trade, utilities, copper, blah, 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 right? We can go on and on and on. But this was clearly head and shoulders and it broke down. So what do you watch for here? The opposite, maybe an inverted head and shoulders. But as a group, you'd probably call gold like a super commodity. Gold definitely looks the strongest, followed by XLE, which is the energy ETF. Palladium and platinum. I'm only looking at this because I briefly dabbled because it looked good. Right. Again, it's always the same thing with me. It's been beaten down for years, bottomed out, but it didn't find momentum. Also, it just looks choppy, junky. So nothing really there on the commodities front other than gold. Gold looks really good here. Looks really, really good. So where could this go? Trying to think about myself. It's only 3:30. If I want to take a trade on this today, the basically 100 would be the target on UGL, which is, what is this? Like a 15% move, 18% move. Not terrible, not terrible. Stop loss, I don't know, 80, 81. Maybe the best setup of this whole stream, honestly. Looks good. All right, so that's commodities, Mag 7 stuff. I don't think there's anything here setup wise. It's all bouncing. I always feel best getting into any of this stuff post bullish confirmation of continuation. So there's not enough here yet for me to be confident that this is going to keep going. It's also got earnings on the 28th. SMCI, also not for me. Trying to be bottom, I guess. I don't know. Apple, huge bounce. Just not for me, trend-wise. Microsoft, not for me. Amazon, not for me. Meta looks the strongest of the group by far. Hands down. This would be another trade to think about right now, for the right now, relative to everything else, because nothing's going on. I don't know what this is, if this is anything pattern wise or anything like that, but I don't know. It's such a mess. It's hard to even know, like, how do you even describe this? Is it just like an ascending triangle? I don't know. But it looks very, very, very good relative to the group, for sure. Google, on the other hand, is the opposite, probably because of the antitrust stuff coming their way. Does not look good relative to the group. Netflix looks okay. Tesla, also just chopping around. Not for me personally. We were talking about K-Web in the Discord today because of Michael Burry's BABA positioning. BABA is the second or first largest holding in K-Web. K-Web's another one, just cloud-wise, trend-wise. It's been flat since 2022. It's tried to make higher highs. I like this better at 33. but I'm in this trade currently. Hasn't stopped me out yet, just because it hasn't made a lower low yet, but it hasn't been a great trade. Hasn't been a great trade. But I would rather take a stab at this than any alt. That's for sure. Right here, right now. You had this. You've got this. Like, it's really, really trying. It's China. It's internet. Stonk. So you got to be careful. But I still think it's one of the interesting charts to watch into Q4 for sure. Someone's asking about the 3-month uranium chart. I love the idea of nuclear energy. I want more of it in my life, but right now it's just not it chart-wise. Gold looks infinitely better than this, right? Look at gold. Uranium priced in gold. It should be no contest. Yeah. It had a head and shoulders here. Broke down, broke below the cloud. It's at the bottom of the range. I'll give you that, but just looks better to me, gold on individual basis. And we can look at like BTC versus SPY. Anything versus BTC, you're not really going to see strength. You're just not. It just doesn't look good. QQQ. It's just downward channel. That's it right now across the board. Yeah, we'll take a look at the miners. So it's KWeb. Toast was another one we talked about weeks and weeks ago. I think I was in it. I'm out of this for sure now, but I was in it at some point. It reminded me of Hood, where it like just did nothing for years. It's trying to do something, but again, you've got like this wedge garbage. Head and shoulders. I don't love it, but it's on my watch list for that reason. Intel. I don't know why this company would do well. It's a hot mess. You'd have to like replace the CEO, and I don't know. I don't know. Chart-wise, low time frames, like this could be something. If you're like a rounded bottom enjoyer, maybe. What do they change it from, Blake, or to? Toast to what? The thing with charts like this, just like alts, it's like, okay, I like this, but the next question is sizing. What is my size going to be on this? Is it high conviction or low conviction? You could set a stop loss at like sub 20. Just let it do its thing. And hope for a gap fill, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, but like it's trying to rounded bottom, inverted head and shoulders. I'll give you that. But you got to be careful with that stuff like that, right? Yeah, exactly, Mustafa. Structural problems as a company just existing. But it has tried to bottom out for sure. We talked about this one last week. STLA, similar story. Chrysler car company has problems as a company existing. It had a bunch of layoffs just like Intel, a bunch of bad news just like Intel. These are the types of charts where it's like, okay, is it bad enough to buy down here? Finally, it might be. It might be. Similar story to Intel. You just set your stop loss at like 15 in this case. But I wouldn't expect a miracle on that one either. Uber surprised me a lot. Uber bounced all the way back to the breakout level. So just like BTC and a lot of junk right now, it's got this gross wedge that we can draw. We'll extend these. And the cloud also gives it its blessing. It's above the cloud. We will draw this diagonal line. We will draw this diagonal line. It makes the breakout potential, or the target potential, higher. New all-time highs, basically. So either it keeps going and it breaks out, or you get this into Q4 or something. I don't know, like a huge inverted head and shoulders or something. But it's bounced hard off the bottom, right? Hard. It's up 35% off the bottom. Gotcha. So it's called local instead of toast now. So yeah, Uber doesn't look terrible. That's, you know, a brave call after it bounced 35%. But hey, I liked it at 70 before, so why wouldn't I like it here at 70 again? Okay, a few more. Pfizer, talk about this one annoyingly every stream. it's my daily Pfizer plug. Have you been triple vaxxed? It's chopping around. Same thing. It's beaten down for years, gone flat. Okay, let's give it a shot, right? That's my rationale. Costco is another one. Just a crazy bounce, right? Crazy bounce. Basically back at all-time highs. Like nothing ever happened. Very strong. Nobody asked me about this one, but Walmart had good numbers. Similar story. I don't know if it's a buy here, but if we're looking at this, the breakout, it's well past that now, but definitely a little late. That's why you want to catch this stuff before the breakout. All right, miners. Sorry, yeah, let's go. You asked about Penn in the open. Penn weekly. You said bull div? I don't see a bull div. Maybe on that low into May. So far, it's just been garden variety bear trend on the weekly. The daily. Here's another reason to go to a higher time frame. If the daily trend metrics are giving you false signals or signals that haven't been correct, you know, just keep going up a time frame. So now we know we are bearish until we are out of the cloud completely on the 2-day cloud, whatever that means for whatever trend metric. But I like alerts here at 20. Just put an alert on that for myself. Yeah, I wouldn't expect a miracle. A miracle. I wouldn't expect a miracle anytime soon, but I would watch the high time frame cloud here. Square is another one. You know, there's just a lot of charts that have gone nowhere for a long, long time, but they've held the range. Just like alts. Once these start to do well, rates down, liquidity up, then I'd expect alts to do well. So back to this BTC versus the world conversation. Would I rather be focused on small caps or alts? And that answer for me is alts, because you can just, the multiples are better, right? Like, what's realistically, where could this go? Where should this go based on the TA? It's like a 2x from here. But like, where could algo go? It's a 10x, you know? So then it becomes a sizing conversation. But yeah, pen looks decent. Yeah, BTC got very angry there, didn't it? Very angry. Okay, what haven't we talked about? Coin. Coin is just all over the place. It certainly leans bearish right now. That's about it. MSTR, same thing. Leans bearish-ish, flat. You do not want to see this breaking down. Triple top. That measures to sub 70. It's funny, everybody got all bulled up on the 13F filings showing people owning MSTR, the miners. Price is price. Those people might think it's bullish, but man, these charts do not look good. This is a garden variety bear flag on WGMI. Marathon, far below the cloud on the daily. Bottom of the range. This, you know, they can keep buying BTC all they want, but right now, in the moment, that has not helped them. Clean Spark, same thing. Is this an island top? Someone can let me know. Doesn't look good. Looks like a bear flag. Riot, bear flag, bottom of the range. Come on, trading view. All of these miners just look horrendous. We can do this, I guess. Some sort of parallel channel thing. Awful. IREN also looks bear flaggy. Cores. Cloud is telling you to get out today or tomorrow on that bearish TK cross. And that's pretty much it. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Does not look like bullish continuation here. Miners haven't looked good for the past couple weeks. Cypher, same thing. No hope here at all. Bitfarms looks better than the group, but not great. At the very least, it's in the middle of the range, whereas most of the group is at the bottom, falling out of the range. Hut also, you know, like it gave up the entire May, June, July rally in like 6 days. This is like Ripple, this is like Monero, this is like Litecoin. It's just not for me. It hasn't gone anywhere, hasn't done anything. So unless you're trading the range, you're not doing so hot sitting in this stuff. Hive, same chart. Chop. Wolf looks better than the group. It's at the top of the range, but there's, you know, the best trade on Wolf was June. The breakout happened. It didn't even hit the target. And so it's like, now what? You know, what do you do now? I don't know. Just sit in it, I guess. Doesn't look great. And the rest of these probably go bankrupt eventually. SDIG, GREE. This chart is garbage. GREE. This one I'd be careful with because I don't know anything about the health of the business, but charts that look like this, two things happen. Either they go by the way of the dodo or they get acquired. They get acquired. BTBT looks okay. Looks okay. Not great. And can looks similar to GREE. This is a what? An ASIC producer, right? This chart looks awful. Do I ever go short? So I talked about this in the open. To be a bear for an extended period of time is a tough job, at least in legacy. I definitely go short crypto, but not legacy. If I want to go short, I just go long, risk off, right? I just go long TLT or gold or something. I think that's a better play than trying to short the legacy stuff. What if rates don't go down? Well, if rates don't go down, we for sure hit a recession, and then rates will go down eventually. One way or another, rates are coming down. Soft or hard landing? PLTR, someone's asking. Yeah. Another wedge. Another day, another wedge. We had talked about this one. Probably the same person asks me every stream. Maybe not. I don't recognize Boom Draw. Somebody asks me about PLTR every stream. And it just continues to like up chop, you know? Guess we can just do this now. It's probably better. It just continues to move up. What can you even say? Certainly not bearish. Certainly not bearish. Looks a hell of a lot better than BTC. It's the opposite of BTC. Looks great. Looks really good. Better than Netflix, which is also similar vibes, where it's just this up chop. It looks good. Looks really good. For sure. No, it is BU. Okay. Yeah. I would just be careful with a bear div here on a high time frame. You kind of have to dodge. So it's kind of bear divvy here, but you do have to dodge rising wedge type stuff. It's, you know, something like this into like 40. Because it is showing some div up here at these highs, but it looks good. Definitely looks good. How dare you, Yada? How dare you bring up the Amazon 1999 triple top? Let's take a look. Now you got me curious. 1999. I was a mere pup in 1999. A mere pup. I don't think BTC looks like that. Can I look at it on the daily? I think Amazon actually looked fine in 1999. What is this? Hold on. Hold on. Let me get there. Trading View, 1999. 0101. Okay. So what is this in 1999? I think this is actually Wyckoff distribution. That's what I think this is. I can pull it up. looks similar to this, at least to me. I'm not a Wyckoff expert, but looks similar to that. Hey, the cloud caught it. Cloud, if anything, this looks like 2021, 2022 BTC. The cloud caught it 2000 January. This is why I like the cloud, or any trend metric that does well on backtesting. It's not going to lie to you. It's going to be very honest and tell you what is the expectation. The expectation was not bullish. Way before the breakdown. It also had this here, little head and shoulders action that broke down. Just like BTC in 2021, it had a head and shoulders into a head and shoulders. So I think this looks more like 2022 than now. Always fun to go back and look. Would you consider Solana at 60 a good buy? Sure. I think stupid low bids on everything here, crypto, is fine. Because we clearly aren't breaking out anytime soon. Clearly. I mean, look at price action. We can't hold any high for any amount of time. We just keep giving it all back, giving it all back. If you told me at the end of the year we hit 40 and 150K, I'd believe you. I don't know. I don't know. Now Yada's bringing up .com FUD. Get your .com FUD out of here, Yada. Get it out of here. Sorry, I'm just catching up. PANW. Palo Alto. It's a mess, but it's up, chop. It's a giant mess. It's a giant mess. But yeah, it looks fine. Looks fine. CL oil? Or no, Colgate. Consumer discretionary, right? I can't even say that name. Dismaida. This is trend traders' dreams, right? This is basically, you know what this is? This is basically the Coco chart. Because if you're a trend trader here, you hate your life. And by the time this breaks out, you're sort of in disbelief because for the past 3 years, it did nothing. This looks more like BTC to me here than Amazon 1999 because you have this gross range bounce over and over and over again. And then when everybody's gone and doesn't care, this thing explodes. So yeah, that looks great. Probably a bear div on that. Yeah. Definitely a little late to do anything up here, but you can see this is the 3-day. Each higher high here, less and less momentum. So I'd be very careful up here with this for that reason. It just looks a little late, but it looks fine. Definitely a bear div there though. Coco was the same, right? Just years of literally nothing. Years. Just nothing. That's what, 6 years, 5 years? And then it takes off. I don't think this one, did it have a bear div? I don't think it ever had a bear div. It just got stupid overbought. RSI of 95. I mean, for my chocolate habit. I hope this doesn't continue. I hope this doesn't move higher. Kind of looks like SMCI did, where it hinted at moving higher, but it may not actually move higher. What else are we missing? MDGL. That was the first one somebody asked, if you're still here. Madrigal Pharmaceuticals. Well, it's a chart. If I go to the monthly, there's clearly an inverted head and shoulders here, right? But you are waiting a long time for this thing to break out. Set an alert at 300 and wait. ANET. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it looks late at this point. Similar to NVIDIA. Anything I'm talking about today that I like, it's the same stuff. You got to try to catch this during the consolidation. That's your best, that's your highest risk reward. When you're a year and a half into this, it's a bit late, you know? It's a bit late. NVIDIA was the same. I wasn't looking at NVIDIA in 2021. I don't think many people were. Where is it? I guess it's here on the daily. 2022? 2022. We've talked about this before, but clearly you were making a chart pattern. Does TA know that this thing's going to go to 10 million thousand? No, but it gives you a heads up. For sure. For sure. All right, anything else before we get out of here? Someone's asking about ICP, like Insane Clown Posse ICP, or Internet Computer ICP. I'm from Michigan, so you got to be a little bit more specific. ICP. Last time I looked at this, it had the trappings of a head and shoulders, and it looks like it broke down early through the 3-day cloud, through the diagonal support. Not bullish. Not bullish. Sorry, Mr. ICP. What do I say to people who say that TA is overrated? I say, yeah, I agree. Why even argue? Like, I'm not trading their money, I'm trading my money. If I think it works for me and it's helped, then what do I care what other people think? I just don't. I just don't care. No, ICP, what about this? Look at any of the other charts we just talked about. Colgate, right? Coco. Palantir. Any of those charts. They are making higher highs and have made higher highs for months. This chart, you want to be honest about this chart. This chart has the potential for a inverted cup and handle, okay? Which would be sub 4. Back to the October level. Shocker. Shocker. Should I set an alert? Let me set an alert for 370. There you go. This is what I'm talking about, by the way. Boop, badoop. Bearish. The head and shoulders that it had probably also has played out at this point. Yeah. The measured move on the bearish reversal was about 7. The measured move on the next potential bearish continuation is about 350. So this does not look bullish to me. Here, sorry. Not that you said it was bullish, I'm being honest. All right, FTM, last one, then we'll get out of here. FTM. It kind of looks terrible. Big fan of the channels today. Huge fan of the channels. Channel doesn't quite fit that. It's more like this parabolic puke thing. I mean, maybe there's something here. I don't know. Probably a bit early. Probably a bit early. How does it look on like the weekly? Yeah, the weekly cloud says give it a minute. Give it a minute. I don't know. Again, if everything is bearish, if Bitcoin is bearish, is some random alt gonna just do well? It's gonna have a hard time. It's gonna have a hard time. If BTC was pushing 70 plus, the odds that these alts would look better go up substantially. But obviously here, it's math, right? This is just an amplification. What is it? It's on my list somewhere, isn't it? I thought I had it on here. So FTM today is, I guess it's flat. But the general direction, it was down 80% since March. BTC was only down, I don't know, 20%. So that's a 4x, right? If that's a 4x and BTC is bearish, FTM shouldn't randomly be bullish. Couple questions, we'll get out of here. What I noticed that you never talk about the lagging span while accounting backtesting is one of the most important part of the issue. So the reason I don't talk about lagging span is because I've doubled the settings. I've more than doubled the default settings. What the lagging span is great at for the default is it's great at adding another part of the checklist. So the checklist is for bullish trades, price above cloud, bullish TK cross, bullish cloud. For default settings, you'd also want to include bullish lagging span. That might be tough to see on the stream, but I'll make it bolder. So because I basically I'm changing the time frame of the daily from the daily to the 2-day, or from I double the time frame effectively. I just ignore the lagging span completely. Now, you don't have to do that. But what you'll notice, if you look here on FTM, most of the breakouts that are real deal breakouts, you will have lagging span that's confluent above the cloud, above price. But you're right, I never talk about lagging span because I'm on the doubled settings. If I were to go back and look at most recently where I was bullish, okay, I was bullish here. Again, this is probably tough to see, but I was bullish here, and the lagging span agreed with me. So putting the lagging span on my chart would not have helped me here. You know what I mean? And you're right. If on backtesting the lagging span is valuable, use it. But this looked bullish to me across the board, and the lagging span wasn't any different. So in general, the lagging span on the doubled settings isn't really going to be the difference maker most of the time. What's up, Chitlins? All right, I think that's all we got for today. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we will see you for Setup Sunday. Hopefully we don't go completely off a cliff here and we just keep chopping around. Last question. Corey, can I shed some light into the settings for non-crypto? Sure. So default, as you know, and for some people, it may just help to put all of the settings on a chart just to see how they look. So the reason I double the settings, I like taking fewer trades with higher signal, better hit rate, more conviction. That's me personally. Some people prefer the faster signals. Depending on what you're trading, use whatever you like. Change all the numbers. I don't care. Whatever works best for you over time. By doubling the default for legacy, I've found you get better entries, better exits, better signals. It's cleaner. That's just me. Some people hate the doubled settings. Even more people hate the crypto settings. I'm just talking about stuff that I use personally. That's why I focus on the crypto cloud or whatever. Fewer signals, better hit rate. And if you don't think that's the case, use whatever you want, but backtest it. If we just use default cloud for BTC, some of this stuff looks great, some of it doesn't. It's going to have times where it does better and times where it doesn't. But if you do use default, you will probably have to implement the lagging span into the checklist. Just looking at this quickly, just eyeballing this. Like here's a great example. Bullish breakout, bullish Kumo breakout. If we go here, this was before, we didn't know FTX was blowing up, okay, but before FTX was blowing up, you had a bullish TK cross, bullish cloud, price above cloud, but you did not have a lagging span above the cloud. So if you are using default, I would definitely look at the lagging span. And you really do have to wait. It's best to wait for everything to be on your side, for sure. But just, use whatever works for you. I just talk about what works for me. That's all. But you need to know the speed of the market. Not really. Not really. If I'm missing trades on alts, for instance, on meme coins, great example. If we go to like SHIB, if I'm missing trades, I just go to like the 12-hour, which is basically half of the doubled settings on the daily. But if the settings on the daily are your main focus point, your true north of your compass, then you can move around the timeframes. It can break people's brain to think about like half the time frame of a daily is half of the settings of the cloud or whatever. But once you get used to that mindset, it shouldn't be too difficult. But you're right. In general, if the market is faster, you want faster settings. Otherwise, you're going to miss entries, you're going to miss exits. But in general, if you're getting a buy signal on the daily, that's a great signal to take because these settings are already very, very slow. Very, very slow. So for alts especially, it keeps you out of trouble most of the time. I'm just looking at this. I remember talking about SHIB. I'd have to go back and look which time frame we were talking about. But again, if I'm talking about like noise on the daily, like back here, 2022, 2023 on SHIB, I would be moving up a time frame until it looks like the signals are cleaner. So going into like December, January, the cloud was already telling you this is starting to look more bullish than it had. And then you put a diagonal on this, it becomes to me a little bit more obvious what you're looking for. And that's why, back to TLT, where is it? TLT on the cloud, like that's why I really, really like this chart. It's always the same. It's always the same. Anyway. So for gold, you can use the 5-year. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. For things that are very, very slow, like you can trade gold on the monthly. Gold on the monthly has told you two things since 2019. It's told you to buy the breakout. You could have even bought before that. It told you to buy the breakout, hold the entire time up until now, keep holding. And the only other signal it gave you was a key June bounce at 1600 as a buy signal. There's been nothing else. And in reality, there's been 3 patterns here. There's the huge cup and handle. There's the inverted head and shoulders at the bottom that took 5 years to play out. And the inverted head and shoulders at the top that took 4 years to play out. But again, the cloud is never going to be wrong. No trend metric should be wrong if it does well. If it has a good hit rate historically, it's not going to lead you astray randomly by saying, oh, this is super bearish or whatever. But yeah, you could look at gold on the monthly, silver on the monthly. Silver is on the bullish side of the monthly chart. It's just opportunity cost and expectation that in what time frame, my lifetime, I hope this stuff looks bullish, right? That's why it moves fast. That's why people like it. All right, that's all we got. I'm out of here. Thanks for chatting, keeping everybody abreast of the alt situations with the random questions. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Take care.